I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is our first legislative committee meeting. We are meeting with legislators at the Capitol to talk about different bills that affect youth.
It's a public thing so people can come and watch us, and it's just a really exciting opportunity for us.
You have a real input into what happens now on policy in this state and what impacts you.
It's a very exciting day. It's historic. I mean, this is the first day where youth, through this youth council, have a legitimate and formalized process and input under the Capitol dome.
As a youth council, what should we expect our role to be here as legislators?
We are a group of people who are thirsty for how the real world works. And you guys bring in your perspective on how the real world works.
Next up we have Chris Kopic on behalf of Representative Atkins to provide testimony on House File 1954 on elections, individuals under the age of 8. The Minnesota Youth Council sent out different copies of the bills and summaries of the bills so we could all read up and be informed before we even get to the meeting to hear more about them, so we'll be more knowledgeable.
What this bill would do is it would create a situation where if you are 17 years old, but you will be 18 by the time the general election rolls around in November, you would be allowed to vote in the primary elections as well.
We won't be making any final decisions, but just as youth council to understand and hear these bills and what they're about and see if we want to give input, ask questions. I myself, as a 17-year-old, this makes me want to go out and register myself.
What is stopping us from lowering the overall age?
As the Minnesota Youth Council, we are here to represent the entire state of Minnesota, so we have to make sure that we're not only thinking of ourselves, but everyone in our community. So I'm going to be most definitely thinking of, like, what would my friends say if they heard this, or what would all the kids from my school say?
So next we have Representative Phyllis Kahn to provide testimony on House File 2127 to create criminal penalties to protect pedestrians, skaters, skateboarders, motorbike users, tractor drivers, and so on.
So what House File 2127 does is make the penalties for killing someone much more in line with what we think they should do.
Right now, I feel like youth don't voice their opinions because they're always led to believe that they're not allowed to.
Would the charge be higher if someone in a designated bike lane was hit by a car?
That's the kind of thing that would be decided in the court.
What the Minnesota Youth Council bill does, especially, and the council itself, it really gives youth the chance to speak, so it helps change their mindset a little bit.
House File 9 is the latest version of the Safe and Supportive Minnesota Schools Act.
Bills affect youth, so youth should have a say in it.
What type of investigation do you mean?
You inform me that you were bullied, and I start talking to kids.
I'm really excited to be able to give my opinion and have the Youth Council's ideas be out there and have people actually listen to them and have legislators take our ideas into account.
I chair the Education Policy Committee in the Minnesota Senate.
This isn't just going to benefit youth. This is going to benefit legislators and policymakers around this state because there really hasn't been this direct connection.
I am very appreciative of what you are doing right now, and I think that there is a level of organization that exists today among youth that is quite big and is quite amazing in my view.
I'd like to thank you all who have attended, parents, supporters, champions. Now that we can say that Youth Voice is law in the state of Minnesota.
I mean, they're the future. That's going to determine the quality of our life in the future here in the state of Minnesota.
I'd just like to call a meeting adjourned. Having that Youth Voice piece at the Capitol, it's just a better way of lawmaking and a better way of being a part of that process. That saying, like, if something that a lawmaker says, like, oh, this is what young people need, we can be like, actually, it's not. And these are the reasons why, and this is what actually should be implemented as law.